Okay, welcome to the Deep 404. This is the TLDR where I'll give a quick run through on what has happened on the front lines today. If you're interested, there's another video that I've just put up. It should be up here, easy to find next to this one on YouTube, which talks more about the big missile strike last night launched by Russia against Ukraine and Joe Biden's decision to approve the use of attack and long-range missiles being fired by the Ukrainians into Russia. Anyhow, in terms of the front line, first of all, I just want to say thank you to AMK Mapping again, because I'll probably use some of his maps today just to show you where things are happening. AMK came on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to catch up with him again hopefully soon to do another one of those shows. It was really good fun. Okay, I am using, as always, the Russian Ministry of Defense daily update for the information that I'm going to be providing here. You can, of course, choose to accept and consider this information with the level of skepticism that you think is justified. This is, of course, coming from the Russian side of this conflict. However, for some time now, I have been reading these reports and for periods of time reporting on them on the show, and they at least seem to indicate a believable trend in the direction of activity. By that, I mean that they report upon things which you can find video evidence supporting. They report about advances in areas. They report about defeating Ukrainian advances in areas. And then we see in the subsequent days maps being updated to reflect that. So for that reason, if these total numbers, we'll get to them, but if these total numbers of troop losses as reported by the Ministry of Defense of Russia are both killed and wounded. There isn't a number given for killed and a number for wounded. They're a combined total. But yesterday's total is again nearly 2,000 people spread across the front line. So that's from the Kursk region down into the Kharkiv region, down through then Lugansk, Donetsk areas to Zaporozhye and into Kherson, across that full front line, which you can sort of see here. This is Kursk region up here, the Kharkiv front there, and then coming down Kupiansk, Liman, Luchansk area, Donetsk here, and getting down into the Zaporozhye region, and then finally down to Kherson. So across there, we're talking nearly 2,000 losses. The units of the Sever group of forces engage formations of the 22nd, 41st, 47th and 61st Mechanized Brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, as well as the 17th Tank Brigade, 92nd Assault Brigade, 80th, 82nd and 95th Air Assault Brigades, the 36th Marine Brigade, the 116th and 117th Territorial Defence Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. There are a lot of Ukrainian forces in that area. The number of losses reported, this is in the Kursk area here. The AFU losses amounted to 320 troops. German-made Marder infantry fighting vehicle, 4 armoured fighting vehicles, 3 motor vehicles, a 152mm D20 gun, an Anklev N electronic warfare station, and 5 Ukrainian servicemen reportedly surrendered yesterday. The 152mm D20 gun is, of course, a Soviet-era piece of equipment. You losing an electronic warfare station, again, this is problematic for the Ukrainians. Whichever side loses one of those, they have become so important now in trying to protect troops from FPV drone strikes. So 320 losses reported in this area around here in the Kursk fighting in the last 24 hours. In the Kharkov direction, so this is around here along this line across here. I have another map. I have my map here. So this is really all along this sort of front here. The Sever group of forces inflicted fire damage on formations of the 57th Mechanized Infantry Brigade and the 120th Territorial Defence Brigade and the 5th Border Detachment of the Ukrainian Border Police near Okremovka and Odnorobovka in the Volchansk area of the Kharkov region. again, we're talking about contact with 3 different brigades versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 or 14 or so in the Kursk region. It really does beg the question, what is the point of the Kursk fighting? It just seems to be draining Ukrainian troops from so many areas. The reported losses, both killed and wounded, in the Kharkiv region yesterday: 65 troops, an armoured fighting vehicle, 2 motor vehicles, a 122mm D30 howitzer, and another Enclave N electronic warfare station. So if this isn't a double up, if that's 2 of them that have been lost in that area today, again, it makes it very tough for the Ukrainians to protect themselves from FPV attacks. Coming down to the southern Kharkiv region and then through Lugansk and Donetsk. This is Donetsk city here. This is the Severodonetsky forestry area here in Seversk. This is Kupiansk. They were coming down into this region now. The Zapad group of forces engaged and inflicted losses on the 14th, 63rd, 66th and 116th Mechanised Brigades, the 68th Jaeger Brigade, the 25th Air Assault Brigade, the 114th, 241st Territorial Defence Brigades. This is around Berestovye, Starovoyonka, Prokopovka in the Kharkov region, the Nadia in the Lugansk People's Republic, Ivanovka in the Donetsk People's Republic, and the Severodonetsky forestry area. 6 counterattacks of the 77th Air Mobile Brigade, 28th and 115th Mechanised Brigades were repelled. The Ukrainian losses amounted to more than 470 troops in this area. A tank, 4 infantry fighting vehicles, 2 US-made M113 armoured personnel carriers, a Cossack armoured fighting vehicle, 4 pickup trucks, a Polish-made 155mm Crab self-propelled artillery system, a 152mm M-Star B howitzer, and a 100mm Rapira anti-tank gun. 2 ammunition depots were wiped out. Again, losing equipment like self-propelled artillery is not great. Losing fixed pieces is less of a loss, because your self-propelled ones give you that ability to shoot and scoot, to be able to set up, to fire on a target, and then move before return fire comes back at you. Moving down to where the Yug group of forces are operating, they have improved the situation along the front line. They defeated assaults from the 23rd, 24th, 43rd and 54th Mechanised Brigades, the 56th Motorised Infantry Brigade, the 81st Air Mobile Brigade, and 10th Mountain Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine near Konstantinovka, Orakovo, Vasilyevka, Dronovka, Zvanovka, Zakotnoye, and Kurakhovo and Seversk. 6 counterattacks of the 46th and 77th Air Mobile Brigades were repelled. The reported losses from yesterday's fighting in this area amount to 520 troops, a tank, 6 motor vehicles, a 122mm Gvozdika self-propelled artillery system, 2 122mm D30 howitzers, 2 US-made 105mm M119 guns, an Enclave N and Kvirtus electronic warfare station, as well as 3 ammunition depots were eliminated. What we're seeing, I think, here now is the pressure the Russians are applying to the line, pushing back the Ukrainians past the stronger defensive lines they had previously, and they're now starting to roll them. Ammunition dumps are being picked up. The Enclave N's, the electronic warfare stations, are being picked up on all areas along the front. These losses, if they are not being resupplied at the same rate that they're being lost by the NATO forces, and by all accounts they are not, is putting more and more pressure upon the Ukrainian troops. Then, moving down to a little further south into Donetsk, getting around the Pokrovsk area here. This is Pokrovsk here. The Tsentr group of forces continue advancing into the depths of Ukrainians' defences, inflicting losses on the 100th, 117th Mechanised 68th Infantry Brigade, the 109th, 118th Territorial Defence Brigades, and the 14th National Guard Brigade. Close to Shevchenko and Druzhba now, and Suky Yar. So Suky Yar is just here, and Shevchenko is just here. These are getting very, very close to Pokrovsk now. The fighting is happening. Russian units repelled 9 counterattacks of the 151st Mechanised Brigade, the 68th, the 152nd Jaeger Brigades, the 49th and 425th Assault Battalions of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the 35th Marine Brigade, the 14th National Guard Brigade, and the Lut Assault Brigade of the National Police of Ukraine. Their losses here amounted up to 345 troops. A tank, 4 armoured fighting vehicles, including a Cossack and a US-made Max Pro, 4 motor vehicles, and a 152mm M-Star-B howitzer. As we begin to move, again, a little further south through the Donetsk region and heading down towards Zaporozhye, the Vostok group of forces advanced further and hit the 120th, the 123rd and 127th Territorial Defence Brigades close to Novoselka, Konstantinopol and Oktyabr of the Donetsk People's Republic. 2 counterattacks by assault groups of the 117th Territorial Defence Brigade were repelled. The losses amounted to of the Ukrainian forces reportedly up to 140 troops. The Russian Ministry of Defense has previously reported that they are able to, at some level, intercept Ukrainian communications to be able to gather numbers of estimated killed and wounded. How they do that exactly, I don't know. How reliable that is, again, I don't know. But that is part of the reason that why the Russians indicate that they are able to provide these daily numbers. Also lost by the Ukrainians, reportedly a tank, 2 infantry fighting vehicles, a US-made armoured fighting vehicle, 8 motor vehicles, and a 122mm Gvozdika self-propelled artillery gun. So yet another self-propelled system lost there. Move that map a little so you can see where we're at. The Dnepr group of forces in the Zaporozhye region and Kherson region, fighting around Piatikatki here. Piatikatki, this area, this has been relatively stable, this line here, for a long while. There was, I mentioned the other day, I think a small group of Russians who advanced up here and then were pushed back pretty quickly. But it seems, as I was talking about the other day, that this area in Zaporozhye, where the reservoir was, really right down to Kherson, this southern part of the front line, is remaining stable with the river forming a barrier. It will be interesting to see if or when that might change. But anyhow, the Dnepr group of forces engaged the 128th Mountain Assault Brigade, the 41st Infantry Brigade, the 110th Mechanised Brigade, the 103rd and 126th Territorial Defence Brigades near Piatikatki, Nestoyanka in the Zaporozhye region, Yantamoye, Olgovka, and Kazatskoye in the Kherson region. The losses amounted to up to 80 troops, 4 motor vehicles, electronic warfare station, and a depot of uncrewed surface vehicles were eliminated. I imagine that was in the Kherson region. You can see, as I was just saying, that area seems more stable. Across that whole line from Zaporozhye down to Kherson, yesterday's fighting reported losses of only 80 troops, whereas in other areas where the conflict is far hotter, we're seeing 500, 400, 300 troops per day being lost in far smaller areas. A note on the missile strikes that occurred last night. Operational tactical aviation, attack drones, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian group of forces have engaged the infrastructure of military airfields, gas production, and energetic facilities used for the operation of the Ukrainian defence industry, as well as clusters of enemy manpower and military hardware in 144 areas yesterday. Now, the reports were over 140 missiles fired, drones accompanying those, so probably getting close to 250 projectiles in that missile strike. And reading between the lines here, it appears as though there may have been up to 144 targets there yesterday. Finally, the Black Sea Fleet, their naval aircraft have destroyed 4 Ukrainian uncrewed surface vehicles in the northwestern part of the Black Sea. So, as of there is the Black Sea. So this northwestern area, so somewhere around here, I would suggest that these were sea drones which were being sent to approach perhaps Sevastopol port or the Russian ports here. That's about it for the quick update on the front line and what's been happening. As I say, there's another video up on Biden's decision to approve the use of ATACMS into Russia and the Russian missile strike on Ukraine last night. Talk to you tomorrow.